I encourage everybody to reach out to your cable providers and ask them. Every cable provider out there offers Destination America. It's just sometimes it's in a different tier. If enough people call their cable providers and ask for that Destination America to be moved, there's a good possibility that that'll happen. And other than that, I'm just working on my podcast and a few other things, some acting gigs and things like that. So
okay, social media. I mean, it's part of life now.
Yeah.
How could fans reach out to you?
They can find me on Twitter at Mr. Ken Anderson, and on Instagram they can find me at Mr. spelled out Mister Ken Anderson. So, yeah.
All right, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was TNA star Mr. Anderson from Euro's Pizza, courtesy of Richie DeGreg Promotions.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hello, ladies. The Big Valboski here, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio.
Esposito's Pizza and Pasta. Over a decade of excellent dining experience. Dine in, take out, or free delivery. We feature over 25 different types of pizza pies, and also will create anything you want. Our sauces are made fresh daily and use only the freshest ingredients. We also have good old-fashioned style entrees, cooked like your mom used to make. From wraps, calzones, rolls, and pasta specials galore to calamari and soups, all in a cozy atmosphere. Call today or stop on in.
You're listening to Damage 365 Radio, and this is ECW Original, the Angry Amish Warrior Roadkill.
Chickens.
2KW Pro returns to take its next step Saturday night, January 17th in the Bronx, New York. Darrow's Extreme Fitness at 1123 Close Avenue will be the place for an amazing 8-match card featuring the rematch 5 months in the making as the real effing deal Mike Drastic goes against the man who betrayed him, the absolute Chris Cage. Two monsters will meet as the walking Riot Rays looks to defeat the cold-hearted player Danny DeMonto. Two standouts will have a single showdown as Alex Mason makes his 2KW Pro debut against the cornerstone of Matthew Ryan Shapiro's firm, The Rogue, Anthony Gango. In the Broken Star Apparel Showcase, the High Spot Heroes go up against the Liberty City Dynasty. All of this plus G.A. West taking on Stan Styles, David Potter versus Joe Bullrog in a boxer versus fighter showdown, the debut of John Davis, the return of Sir William Black, and an audience-demanded rematch between Nolan Avila and the All-Star Anthony Silva. Tickets are now available on our website, 2kwpro.com, as well as on our Patreon page, patreon.com/2kwpro. That is patreon.com/2kwpro. 2KW Pro takes its next step Saturday night, January 17th at Darrow's Extreme Fitness, 1123 Close Avenue in the Bronx, New York. Bell time 8 p.m., doors open at 7 p.m. Event sponsored by the Nerdport Network. 2KW Pro. Take the next step.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed that sit-down one-on-one interview with now current TNA star and former WWE superstar Mr. Ken Anderson. Kind of some interesting things he brought up in that interview, like the atmosphere between TNA and WWE, how TNA is a little bit more relaxed, and you kind of feel that maybe WWE, you have a lot of guys backstage puffing out their chest and kind of almost like bully mode. You know, they know who they are and they know they're the man, and it's just a very difficult work environment. Maybe a lot of pressure of the unknown with WWE. Everybody worrying about who's going to get fired or who's going to get buried and things along that nature, where it just seems like TNA is more of the relaxed kind of backstage atmosphere where the guys know why they're there and what they're going to do, and they have a little bit more creative control over their character and their gimmick, and they're able to go out there with a little less pressure, I guess, and do what they do, not worrying about having to go backstage and answer for something. You know, it's not where WCW was kind of like a zoo, where the loonies were running the asylum. TNA seems to be a little bit more disciplined with that. But to hear and this is not the first time I've heard it. I mean, this is the first time we've put it on live, but it's not the first time I've heard that the atmosphere backstage is just so much more relaxing and just more confident at TNA compared to WWE, and the work environment is just a little bit more easy to bear with. And not to mention the work schedule itself. We've heard it from Brodus Clay, we heard it from Al Snow, we've heard it from Rhino, that the work schedule is just so much less to have to take on with TNA compared to WWE, where you have to be available, 340, 350 days a year, and it's just nuts. You just spend, 92% of your life on the road with WWE, where it seems it's about 65% with TNA. And seeing, if TNA having a central base where they pretty much have most of their shows and, have occasional, trips to like Manhattan and things along that nature, it just makes for a lot less travel, a lot less stress, and I think that helps the work environment and help the atmosphere backstage. It's, a lot of guys get very high strung when, they spend an entire day on a plane to get somewhere. They land, they run to their hotel, do what they got to do, eat something, and go to the gym, and boom, they're at the arena getting ready, getting ready for their match that night. But at this time, we'd like to welcome in our guest of the day, our guest for the show, Warriors of Wrestling's Latin lover, Chachi. Welcome to the show, Chachi.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Doing good.
We were talking a little bit about Ken Anderson, who just recently re-signed with TNA, and just the relaxed and less stress atmosphere of TNA compared to WWE. Now, you work mainly on the independent circuit. You might not have, WWE or anything to compare it to, but just give us a little background, how it is to be backstage at an indie event. What is the feeling? What's the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere is always usually pretty good. If you have a good, relationship or a rapport with like the other wrestlers, I mean, the time can go by really, really fast. There's everybody. There's like a ring crew. There's people that work behind the scenes, people that do music. There's the promoters and the bookers, and it's a whole bunch of guys. And there's like the trainees and trainers, and it's pretty cool.
Now, when you guys are backstage, what's like the main focus? Is it like maybe working out a little bit? Is it strategy, or do you guys find yourself being a fan and kind of watching the matches before you?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if the show didn't start yet, I mean, me personally, I like to get in the ring. But everybody's different. Some guys like to go over the matches first, then go in the ring. A lot of times, a lot of the guys will go when the actual show is going on. They go check out the match and see how the match is looking like.
Well, I always found it amazing. I go to maybe 6 to 8 indie matches a month, and I always just find it amazing how people don't get into a habit of all using the same moves from match to match to match. Where say one match, they're using a lot of suplexes, and then the following match, if the guys in the following match weren't watching the first match, how did they know, what was going on? So, there's got to be some kind of communication between the wrestlers backstage of look, I'm going to do this, so don't do that tonight. Does that go on?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, if say for example, I'm a new guy going to a brand new company, and I'm going to try to assess kind of what are the moves that generally most people do. If you're talking about suplexes, right? Mm-hmm. If we're looking at Warriors of Wrestling side, Jason Carlos does suplexes, and so does Jack Gallo. He does suplexes, right? And I think Cross sometimes pulls them off. But you think about that, and you're like, okay, where are they going to be in the card on that day? Is me doing a suplex going to be appropriate for that? That's how I would walk in on that. I mean, mind you, I never really ever throw suplexes, but it's always a good habit to at least talk about it or know what the movesets are of all the wrestlers that are on the card, because you never know. I mean, because you don't want to repeat the same thing that you just saw, because the fans are going to remember that they're not going to get into it. They're going to get bored.
Right, and especially with independent, with the crowds being so tight and close to the ring, and they're not up in the upper deck part of 30,000 people where they're distracted and might not pay attention half the match. I mean, you have the total attention of the 100+ people that you're wrestling in front of, so it's kind of hard to kind of pull the wool over the eyes of the fans.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
A couple things I wanted to address with you. First, since we opened it up with Atmosphere, I wanted to ask you the same question we kind of ask everybody. How did you get into wrestling? Was there a moment that you decided you want to be a wrestler? Was there somebody influential that you said, all right, I want to be a wrestler because of this person? How did you get involved?
Well, I mean, I've always liked wrestling since I was 5 years old. I remember a long time ago, I was yeah, exactly. I was 5. I think the first wrestler I ever saw if I can think back, my very first wrestler that I ever saw was Rowdy Roddy Piper. Now, he wasn't my favorite, but I just remember he was the very, very first wrestler that I ever saw on TV. And then I was thinking wow, this is so cool. They're larger than life. So that kind of sticks with you, and then you get your parents, you watch the wrestling, then you watch it in grammar school, then you like watching in high school, and then maybe you go to college and you kind of don't talk about it too much because you don't want to be uncool, but you kind of still watch it